G'day YouTube, Rob again, reading your brand new video. Today I'm just doing a sort of content sort of showing my support to EJ, PuckBond007's channel. He's recently got up to 1,000 subscribers, so big congrats on that. That's a great sort of milestone. He's giving away some prizes, and the question was just sort of give your top 10, well I think you can do, was it top 3, top 5 or top 10 sort of favourite movies of 2012. I did do a video, similar sort of video, I think at the end of 2012. Just sort of, I think I sort of listed sort of all the movies that I had sort of seen over the year, and then just the ones I've sort of seen, and then I just sort of did a bit of a ranking. I don't think it wasn't necessarily in any sort of order, but this is probably a good chance for me to sort of update that list, and I have sort of changed a few of them around. I have sort of watched a few more of 2012 movies, and rewatched a few of them, so this has sort of changed slightly. So we'll get into it. So yeah, I've got I've got 7 here actually. 7. I don't sort of own all 10 of them. But we'll get into it. Okay, so the first movie is actually probably, I don't know, might be a bit of a shock to people, because this is actually a film that a lot of people just absolutely hated and absolutely trashed, and you know, really didn't like it much. But I think I actually quite enjoyed it. I mean, for it's definitely just a cheesy sort of popcorn flick, and wasn't meant to be sort of taken too seriously, but some people seem to take it a bit serious. It's Battleship, which, I mean, I actually quite enjoyed this movie. I have only sort of seen it once. I mean, it's not necessarily the perfect movie, and I mean, the beginning scene where the main character is trying to get it, sort of breaks into like a 7-Eleven to try and steal a burrito, which is absolutely ridiculous and pretty stupid. It was a pretty silly scene, that one. But the rest of the movie I thought was pretty good, sort of fun, and sort of aliens attacking, and the Navy or whoever it is sort of saving the day type thing. Yeah, the film gets a lot of people sort of trash it and just thought it was absolute crap, but I mean, I quite enjoyed it. And I think in some ways there's sort of a lot more going on than sort of on the surface, I think. I mean, we never sort of really quite know sort of why the aliens are there, and sort of what their plan is. I mean, we sort of just assumed that they're up to no good, and there to destroy humanity or whatever and stuff. But I think there's actually, when I was sort of watching it, it was, I just sort of think there might have been something a bit more going on sort of behind the scenes. But anyway, that's my number 10 spot, Battleship. The next one, number 9, sort of a remake of a classic film, and a lot of people, didn't like the remake simply because it's a remake, and the original's always better. I got the remake of Total Recall, which I think I did quite enjoy. I have sort of watched it. I watched it in the cinema, and I have watched it again on Blu-ray, I think a few months ago. And I mean, it's not necessarily, I think I do much prefer the first one. Well, this one's not not quite as bad as everyone sort of makes it out to be. I mean, it's very sort of, there are sort of differences between the two movies, but there's not all that much difference. It's very sort of similar sort of storyline with a few different tweaks in it, and when I did sort of have a few problems with the movie, and I don't think the Jessica Biel's character she didn't have enough screen time. There was too much of Kate Beckinsale's character. I think they should have sort of evened out those two characters and sort of gave Jessica Biel a bit more screen time. I didn't mind sort of Colin Farrell as the hero. I thought he did quite a good job. Not quite as good as Arnie, but I suppose you can't really beat Arnie, can you? But I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It had some really great sort of visuals to it, very sort of Blade Runner type style to it, and but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty good, really. Yeah. So that's my number 9 spot. Next film was actually a sort of comic book film, big blockbuster, which you can probably guess what that's going to be. The Avengers, which I did actually quite enjoy. I sort of watched it in the cinema, and then I have sort of rewatched it recently, and I did quite enjoy it. I mean, I'm not necessarily a massive fan of sort of comic book type movies. I'm perhaps more of a fan, perhaps of the more of the sort of the graphic novel type ones, like the Sin City and V for Vendetta and Watchmen. Some of those other sort of more sort of adult, type ones. But this one was pretty good though. Obviously got all-star cast in it, and sort of written by Joss Whedon. He's great sort of screenplay, I thought, and some really great sort of dialogue in it, and great sort of character interaction, and I thought it was just a really good movie. I was actually quite I'm not sort of a huge fan of comic book movies, but this is one that I actually did really quite enjoy. I thought it was actually quite a good movie, that one. Okay, so my number 7 spot would probably have to be the Hunger Games. Another really sort of great film that I really did quite enjoy. When I sort of watched it at the cinema, and I'm sort of looking forward to sort of watching the sequels, sort of when they come out. I just really like, really like the sort of story to it, and sort of the characters, and the whole sort of idea of sort of the Hunger Games, and I just thought it was a really sort of fun movie to watch. And I mean, it probably could have been, or perhaps preferred a higher rating on it. I wasn't too sort of keen on it. It's necessarily the sort of the PG rating, and sort of the shaky cam, and you couldn't sort of see a hell of a lot. But overall, I thought it was a pretty decent sort of flick. My number 6 spot probably have to be Looper, which I just thought was a really good movie. Probably one of the sort of better sort of sci-fi movies that I've sort of seen recent years. I've always sort of been a fan of sort of time travel type movies, and I thought this one was sort of very well done. I thought Bruce Willis did a really good job, and also Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I thought he was really good, especially sort of trying to copy sort of being Bruce Willis as a sort of younger sort of person. It was a great sort of story, and I don't know, just a good sort of flick. That's sort of my number 6 spot. Next film is actually probably the film that I was probably most anticipating for that year. I'm a big fan of Ridley Scott's Alien, and all the the Alien series just in general. I think there's some I don't know, especially the first 3 movies, I think are just absolutely fantastic, and obviously one of my sort of favourite franchises of all time. So I went and watched Prometheus. I think I actually sort of watched it twice in the cinema. I haven't sort of watched it since, which I probably should have done perhaps before making the video. This is a film that I sort of have mixed feelings on it. I sort of changed my mind on it towards it. It was definitely a film that I was really looking forward to it, and pretty much the only film that I sort of really wanted to watch in 2012. In some ways, I think I was perhaps a little bit sort of just disappointed with it. I mean, it wasn't quite as, I don't know, didn't sort of blow me away. I mean, in terms of, it had some great sort of visuals to it, and I did sort of like the premise behind it, and in sort of most of the things that sort of happened in the movie, I really did sort of quite enjoy. There's just a few things that sort of let it down for me. Some of the characters, some of the actions of the characters, I thought were just a bit silly, and the film, as other people have sort of mentioned, it does sort of ask more questions than it sort of answers, sort of thing. So, in some ways, I think it's sort of, maybe there's rumours of a sequel. I'm not sure if, I haven't sort of been on IMDb to sort of, find out more information about that. If there's actually one sort of making, if they are sort of making one, or what, what's sort of happening with that. But I certainly would love to sort of see a sequel. Because this is a bit of a confusing movie, and you're not really quite 100% quite sure what's going on, or sort of behind the scenes, type thing. But definitely, just I really did like the movie though. Overall, I think just 2 things that sort of I was a bit disappointed with, I suppose. But that's definitely a good movie, and I mean it was definitely good. That's Prometheus. Next one on the list is the third in a trilogy. Got the Dark Knight Rises. A film that I'm not necessarily sort of a huge sort of fan of the Nolan trilogy. I think people do, especially the Dark Knight. People just absolutely too obsessed with that movie. In some ways, that sort of put me off. I think sort of sort of watching the movies, I guess, in some ways, because people just sort of do get over the top, I think, sometimes. I mean, I was always a fan of, I really loved the Batman Begins. I thought that was just a really great sort of origin story, and I have sort of watched all three of these movies recently, and when I do sort of watch them, I think my opinion does sort of change on which ones I sort of prefer. I think at the moment I still do prefer sort of Batman Begins. I think that's definitely probably my favourite one out of the whole trilogy. Oh, bit of shine there. Maybe my sort of favourite, I think, out of the trilogy. I just sort of love the origin story to it, and I mean, this one here though, is definitely a film that I did actually quite enjoy when I sort of watched it at the cinema, and I did sort of watch it again recently, and I think in some ways I have sort of the ranking has sort of gone down a little bit to it. I mean, it's I mean, if you sort of do compare it to The Dark Knight, I mean, I think The Dark Knight is a bit better made film. It has better pacing and a bit more action to it, and well, this one's a bit more, I don't know, sort of, I don't want to sort of say a bit sort of all over the place, but it is a bit sort of rough, and but in terms of, it has a very much a sort of bit of sort of rawness to it though, and very sort of gritty sort of conclusion, type thing to it, and I mean, you've got Batman that's sort of essentially sort of is a broken man type type thing halfway through the movie. He sort of does sort of is sort of defeated in some ways, and does sort of come back obviously at the end and save the day type thing. But it just really sort of gritty, and I did sort of like the storyline to it, and I did sort of really love I did sort of like the Bane character as well. I think a lot of people sort of have problems with him, and I'm pretty sure they did sort of redo his voice though. I think for the DVD and Blu-ray, it's definitely from what I remember, just sort of sound, you can sort of hear him a bit more clearer. But I thought it was I mean, it's a good movie. There's certain things I didn't sort of like how it ended, and I did sort of feel that sort of Catwoman was a bit Anne Hathaway was a bit sort of underused. She wasn't in the whole movie that much, I didn't think. But yeah, I mean, it is a good movie. I just I think I still perhaps do prefer the original one, the Batman Begins though. So that's that. Next film was actually another film that absolutely got trashed, and a lot of people just absolutely trashed it, and so I was a bit sort of hesitant and sort of watching it, and a bit sort of late coming to actually get it. But I was a sort of huge fan of the first three movies, and so I wanted to sort of check it out and sort of see what it was like. And that's the fourth Bourne movie, the Bourne Legacy. I thought it was just a really great movie. I was actually really quite surprised at how much I enjoyed it. As I sort of said before, that people just absolutely hated it and thought it was crap. But I mean, in some ways I thought, I was sort of watching it and thinking, well, this is, in some ways might even be perhaps better than the first three, which is a bit of a bold statement to say, I suppose, but because I'm sort of a huge fan of those three as well. But I just like the story to it, and in some ways it just sort of took a bit of a sort of a different direction from your sort of normal sort of action flick, and sort of had a lot of sort of really great elements to it that I've just really did sort of enjoy, and definitely feel like I've got to perhaps rewatch again to get a bit more of a firm opinion of it. But I just absolutely loved it when I sort of watched it, and just thought it was absolute probably one of the best sort of action flicks I've sort of seen of recent times that I thought was really good. Great movie, that one. My second sort of favourite probably film would have to probably be Skyfall, which I did sort of do a review of, I think, on my channel when I sort of went and sort of watched it at the cinema, and sort of gave it a bit of sort of a negative review, I suppose, in some ways. But I mean, I think it was mainly good just because I just thought it was a really good movie, and almost a really sort of perfect movie. It was just a few little things that I just wasn't sort of happy with, and it could have been tweaked, and it would have been probably would have been my top favourite movie. I mean, if it just sort of had a few changes to it. But yeah, I'm a big sort of a fan of the Daniel Craig sort of movies, and I think he sort of plays a really good Bond, and I think probably my favourite probably still was probably Casino Royale, and but I mean I did quite like Quantum of Solace, even though a lot of people didn't seem to like that one all that much. Skyfall, it was just a really great movie, I thought, actually. I just sort of liked the story to it, and I just sort of felt maybe I just sort of wanted perhaps a little bit more from it. The villain I just thought was good, I thought, but he just didn't. I was sort of having for a bit more backstory on him, and for me, we didn't sort of quite I didn't quite understand what his reasons were sort of behind what he was doing. I mean, I have only sort of seen the film once, so I perhaps need to rewatch it again. But yeah, I definitely. I mean, it's my second spot, so I mean, it's I didn't necessarily. I did sort of really enjoy it. I thought it was a really good movie. Just I don't know, just could have been a little bit better. I thought that's all. Big sort of epic film. Film that hadn't sort of seen when I sort of did my my video at the end of 2012. But that's the Hobbit. That's my number one pick. Just absolutely fantastic film. I sort of really love watching this one in the cinema, and just great visuals to it, and I just really love the story to it and the characters, and just very sort of well made movie, and very sort of entertaining, and a great sort of venture. I mean, I'm really looking forward to sort of watching the other two movies when they come out. I don't know, as other people said, I don't know how they're going to make another two, but I'm sure they'll manage somehow. But yeah, I don't know, just a great film, and I don't know what to say. It's just my number one pick. So that's that. Yes, my number one pick. So that's my sort of top 10 movies. A lot of sort of big sort of blockbusters there. I haven't sort of seen some. I've got a list of ones I haven't sort of seen. I mean, there's a lot of sort of more sort of drama ones I haven't necessarily sort of seen, like Mud, Django Unchained. I haven't seen that one yet. Zero Dark 30, Silver Linings Playbook. What else have we got here? I think that's pretty much it. I think. Oh, probably an Act of Valor, I suppose, another one I put on perhaps one sort of watching. But yeah, that's my top 10. Hope you enjoyed that. So that as before, just big thanks to EJ for running competition, and big congrats again for getting the 100 subs. I'm talking too fast. Big congrats on that. Good luck to everyone else in the competition, and thanks for watching. Bye.